Doggone kid would always catch more fish than anybody else. You know, I don't know what it was about him, but he would always catch more fish. So, but otherwise, he was very ambitious.
Yeah.
You know, and that started showing in high school when he played basketball, and we played football. And when he got out and won the Marines, he never left the States. He was in San Diego, but he was in personnel. And he changed orders for about, I think there was like a dozen or 15 kids from our area that enlisted. And that kept me away from the draft board. And that's the reason I got drafted in the Army in 1956, not in 1953. That's just what it amounted to. No kidding. If they hadn't went in, and I was the last guy in Pawnee County to be drafted before the Vietnam War. This was still a Korean War. Yeah, last one. Married, child on the way, and a stepson. And they still took me. And they still took me. But otherwise, as far as Don, we grew up too close together, you know, we was always together. Talk about, when somebody mentioned about Dorothy, the things we used to do to that kid. She would sneak around and she would tattletale. And there ain't nothing worse than a tattletale. That's about as bad as a do-gooder, you know, sometimes. I don't know whether Don was involved or White and myself. We said we'll fix her because we knew that in this old barn there was these troughs where you fed the hay to the horses and the cattle. And she would jump over in there and crawl underneath there with a little feed trough, you know, for the horses. And there was a hen that had a nest under there. And we said, we'll fix her. So we took a board, tied the binder twine around, we strung that sucker up the wall where she couldn't see it. We put a 5-gallon bucket of water up on top. She jumped over that, and she hit that board, and that bucket come down, and then the crap hit you. But it's hard to tell all the dumb I did. We were all usually involved in something. It was, you know, wasn't hand fishing or seining, it was something else. So every law that there was, we probably broke it. Don was right in there with it.
Don loved to hand fish.
Yeah, he loved to do it. He was good at it.
He knew to let fish and get them under stuff.
Yeah.
Which was against the law, too.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
What about the sign you put on the Pawnee County line? Who was in on that?
Let's see, I
You
don't
know,
know.
on that?
Well, Harry and I, there was, really wasn't our idea, but there was friends of ours lived on the road that went from Burchard west to Gage County, and it went on to where Harry lives now, Blue Springs. But Gage County kept their road all graveled, but Pawnee County wouldn't put nothing on the roads, and these guys get stuck. Truck drivers get stuck out there coming to town, you know, bringing stuff. And so this guy by the name of Marvin Pettinger and Leo Carver, I went to school with Leo Carver. Listen, and Wilbur Siskey, that was Dorothy's husband's brother, said, let's put a sign up out there on the Gage County line. So we all went out and got paint and everything on a Sunday afternoon and painted that sign up. Pawnee County, let's see, what did we put on that?
Skull and crossbones.
Yeah, I put skull and crossbones, but it says, entering Pawnee County, bad roads proceed at your own risk. Put that skull and crossbones. I remember that, and that night we went out and we went to a movie in the town of Beatrice, and we come back about 11:30 and stopped on the line and put that pretty good sized sign up there, and we didn't think, well, you know, just be a joke. But about a week later, big rain come up, and man, then truck drivers too got stuck, and then here, the dad and I went to town, here it was. Do you see about that sign out there? And they was laughing about, some truck driver must have got stuck with his old man. And the park commissioner says, well, he said, we didn't have money to fix the roads and everything. And Omaha World Herald come out and put it on the AP, and it went out on the news. Nobody said a word for years. We didn't do it for meanness, but needless to say, they put some rock and gravel on that road. Really wasn't all their fault, but they took all the money and blacktopped the road out of the county seat, and they leave us out in the outreaches without roads, road improvement. But
I have to tell you about the time when another guy and I, he had a piece of paper from his newspaper, and they wanted somebody to distribute it around town after school and get maybe 50 cents a quarter for it, you know. We had to go down and see him down there at Blue Springs, Wymore, and this kid, he was on it. And so I got talking to him, going with him, but I was an innocent little kid, you know. So I went along, talked. I think I was junior in high school or something like that. And we got down the road a ways, and they had a county surveyor that was named John Carson. Came along and said, where are you guys going? Oh, we're going down to John's place, put up hay, see. So we got in his car and went for a ride, and said, well, I got to turn here, so we did. So we kept on walking, you know, and here he came again. I thought you was going down to this place to put up hay. Well, he's going down here for a while. No, I didn't really need to talk. I just sat there. And he finally, I looked out the back window, and I could see this old Chevy car coming up behind us, you know, going, just really going. And so this guy stopped his car, and heck, it was this kid's dad. This kid, he seen him duck down under the dash and something right here. So all this old man, he drank a little alcohol. All he wanted is to give old John a shot out of his jug. So he told him, got your boy back there. Here he came. All right, you boys, come on out of there, come on out of there. So we got in his car, and he started out half shoddy, you know, and he drove, got crossways in the road, you know, over the hill, and I thought somebody was going to come over and hit us. But he says, Dad, you better move your car, there's a truck coming up. Went down about a couple copes to the local drugstore down there. And then we was going to go home, and he got in the car, and he went within a mile of where he was walking a mile and get over and walk home, and I wouldn't have to walk to school. We thought I lived there, the neighbor lived there. He said, John, said, you live here? What, you want me to take you in there and tell your dad what happened, or you want to go back to town? So I could see my dad working, baling hay in the field there, so I said, I want to go back to town. So I went back to town and had to walk 5 miles home. But then the neighbors was working one Saturday, and I was helping them. This one guy said, I hear you play hooky for school. Oh, yeah. Well, where were you going? So I thought, I'll really leave this on the thing. So I said, California. What were you going to do there? You're going to get a job. You can't get a job around here. Oh, you don't want to go to California, you're too young. Bad women out there, bad crooks, stuff. You don't want to go out there. So yeah, we was going, you know. I didn't think anything of it. And one Saturday night we was in town, and the neighbor's name was Wilbur Plehaw, and him and my dad was having a real discussion there, and I don't know what they was talking about. So I don't know what they were talking about, probably crops. So when I got home that night, boy, did I catch him. You did this, you did that. So then my dad had heard that we had already got as far as Superior, Nebraska, which is about 70, 80 miles down the road. The sheriff had to come and get us and bring us back. See? So my uncle and my mom and my dad, they believed it. I don't know if Carl did or not. They believed it. Boy, it's the gospel truth. So anyway, until my mother today, if she was alive, she'd still believe that. But they didn't figure anything. They figured 7 miles there and that many miles back. It wasn't possible that we could go over there and back. We'd been a couple of days getting back, see, so that was one of the good things I had when I told them, boy, I'm going to California.
well, you know, in town, went to high school, drove a car, we'd slide around a few corners, you know, them gravel roads. It'd beat us home that we was couldn't couldn't get by with too much. But anyway,
That ship, I remember the name of that ship that my folks came over on, it was the Seydlitz. Seydlitz.
Silence?
Seydlitz. What happened to you? Anything happen to you?
I think that was the good
I don't remember now.
I don't remember, of course, John and I, Don was so many years younger than we were, we didn't go hardly to grade school with him. So we didn't know too much what he did in grade school. But he always seemed to, what he ever wanted to do, he would excel at it, wouldn't he? I
Yeah.
mean, he did just do that. But I do know when he was real little, he was prone to throwing temper tantrums. Sometimes he had to get spanked for it.
Well, like Don too, if, I think we mentioned last night, sometime, you know, if anything came along, I don't give a darn if it was a measles, it was a chicken pox, it was a flu, he had it. And there come the doctor, and then he had diphtheria, real bad. Nobody knew what it was, he couldn't swallow, you know. Of course, you can see that because your throat will turn white, you know, swear. Doctor from Liberty come out. And Dorothy said, I'm down in the pasture, see, I was hiding. And they come up here to the house. The doctor wants to see you. They want you up to the house. Mom wants you. I knew what they wanted. Going to give me a shot, dude. I said, no way. I went a clear a half-mile south to the line of that timber, you know, the cottonwoods, you know, in the old creek. That's where I went. And I said, I ain't going back to that house. And I didn't. You know.
Did you get a shot?
No.
I remember when they gave us,
Gonna
when
give
they
me no
gave us,
shot, buddy.
they gave us diphtheria shots when we was
Yeah,
in school.
yeah, yeah, we
It
all
was too
had
small. Well, I
Yeah.
guess maybe you did go, but the whole Windy Hill School went to Burchard.
that. Yeah, yeah.
And
we had
boy, we knew, we was walking to school, we knew we had to go take them shots, you know, needles, big needles. Of course, all these storage.
Yeah, they look big.
And we got up half a mile up and you could see town over there almost. But here was the smoke and Burchard, we were supposed to go to Burchard School and it burned down that morning, that evening, that's when it burned down. Then we thought, oh boy, don't have to go to Burchard. Well, we got to school a little while, here cars come and they took us over to the church over there. We had to get them shots.
Yeah.
We did take the folks over to Germany one time, and they was both still living, you know. And my daddy had a wonderful time over there, and so did my mother. And he died about a year or so after that, see.
Why did he die?
But,
How did he die?
well, he got cancer in his jaw, and he chewed key all the time, you know, smoked his tobacco. Somebody told him, he says, years ago, he says, that stuff will kill you. And my dad, he says, why don't they call it kill me quick then? Oh, the guy says that's a slow kill. But that isn't what he died from. He died, what did he have, a heart attack or something?
No, we got cancer and.
Yeah, but he had the cancer, but that isn't what killed him.
Yeah, I did, it came back.
Yeah,
He came back.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They operated, you remember, they cut his, I wasn't home, well, I was home that December for Christmas, but they operated in January.
Mhm.
And I'd call once in a while, and he'd done real well. He'd healed up. And then pretty soon I called, and that one must have been March or April or something, when the lymph glands swelled up. And
Yeah.
of course, it was, well, just like Darn, they gave him these radiation and all of that.
Well, I
He
had
just went
cobalt.
downhill. Cobalt,
Yeah,
yeah.
that radiation, they had 36 cobalt treatments in Lincoln.
That's bad stuff.
You know, but it was,
But that was the only thing.
that was the only thing they could do, you know, and it did do the trick, but it burned his throat so bad that he couldn't really eat proper, he couldn't swallow. I mean, that's the bad part of it.
But he was 78.
Well, when John took Mom and him over to Germany, remember, he had a toothache over there,
Uh-huh.
went to the dentist over there, and the dentist told him, when you get back home, you better go see about that tooth. And that's where they found it, see. So I remember Dad sitting there in the house, and chair, you know, and when I'd be down there, he would always rub that jaw, you know. And that was 2 or 3, 4 or 5 months before you ever went to Germany. So it was in there very slow. But if he'd have went to a good dentist, they would have found that and they could have stopped it right there. I know it's happened before. But otherwise about Don, I really don't know too many stories about him. I know when he come back from furlough from the Marines, I mean, he was just a little bit ornery. But Hubert Barnes and Burchard went with him. Remember, they were the first two. And if Hubert Barnes hadn't went with Don, he would have never made it through the service. He would have never made it as far as he got. They would have kicked Hubert out so fast it made your head swim. But Don kept him going, see? Don kept him going. So Don was, like Carl said, was a person that excelled at anything he wanted to do. By God, he did it, and just about the way it was. When it was small, the neighbor was plowing across the road, you know, and we always made these slingshots out of inner tubes and leather, out of shoes, you know, cut slits in and put their rubber around there and find an old crotch in a tree. Tillman Finch was his name over there.
Yeah.
So he seen that and he come over and told Don, he said, Don, you make me one or two of them, he said, I'll give you 50 cents a piece. And Don did. And what he gave them to this guy, and he took them to Liberty and gave them them kids, and they shot them street lamps out. No. But anything he wanted to do, he could do it. I think that's the reason that he probably got where he was.
Yeah, I remember they was in a high school play. And I remember my mother telling me about it, people around there, he played a part. It's like a movie star. I mean, he was good. They said just like that was his natural ability, was to
Well, that's what
play that part in high school.
anything he wanted to do, he could do it. He did it well, you know. If he couldn't do it well, he wasn't going to do it. That's just the way it was. And that was the way Don always had been, you know. Ever since he got out of the Marines and started something, he stayed with it, you know. Just like Minister said today, or this other guy said, he never tried to steer you wrong on anything. But really, like I said, I think he was probably everybody's friend. I know when he'd come down, I was in the Army, and he would come down, and he would always stop at the beauty shop when my wife worked, and he would take her to lunch at noon, you know, and she appreciated that. And she said she would have liked to come so bad, and she just did not make it, because Don always treated us well, treated us right, and we appreciate it, really.
I remember when Don, he came from the Marines and stopped to see my older sister in Pueblo. Remember that?
Who?
You and Don, Annie and Bill.
Oh,
In Pueblo.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and of course he's coming home and he stopped there. And I remember, and then he I think he went, I don't know if he went home first and came back or what, but he stopped there and that's when he got a job for Valley Hill. Because as I remember it, one of the yard workers or yard foreman, whatever he was, he said, I'm got another job. So you go down, you probably get this one. So that's what Don did. He got out of the Marines and went to work. He didn't.
I don't think he came home. I think he'd gone to work, and I think he was like 2 or 3 weeks before he ever came home.
Yeah.
After he got discharged, that's what it
He
was.
stopped by there.
Sure, yeah, they work at the same place.
Mhm.
And I went to work in Pueblo because I'd taken electronics and this one furniture dealer needed somebody to help with the technical work and so on with TVs. And so I came to Pueblo and Don and I stayed together. We stayed with Sister a while and then we rented an apartment. And then when Shirley and Dawn got married, why, I moved out and they lived in that apartment. Shirley can probably tell you about that. It's been a long time ago. Dawn went to work and he moved right up there.
Yeah, when we were all of us home, how many people were in that little house down there? 2 bedrooms, a living room, and a kitchen.
There's 8 kids there, and Dick could stay there on his uncle Dick.
That's 9.
Yeah, 2 of them was 11 folks. 11 stayed there.
11 people in that little 4-room house. Really?
And Bill and Annie got married, and they stayed there, so.
That made 12.
Service, you know.
Really?
How did you work out sleeping? When everybody sleep?
Oh, they had
3 or
beds.
4 deep.
They had three beds in one room, 3 beds in another, and Randy and Bill had their rooms. They just put the curtain right across. You know.
Yeah, they did. That's the reason I got pneumonia too.
Yeah,
I died.
yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I was 3 or 4 years old. They thought I was a goner. Yeah, almost died.
That was Liberty doctor broke your finger.
Yeah.
And then come
Yeah, I still remember that because I had, I don't know, 3 or 4, but I can remember things back when I was 3 years old. But I know I didn't have overalls on.
He did.
No, I had dresses.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Don was just a baby. He had diapers.
Yeah.
I didn't even have them. That's enough to make anybody weird. I believe it or not, I remember Alice Wason, they used to bring Alice over.
Yeah.
Me and her the same age. And they'd bring her over every day so that she'd get something to eat. You remember?
Yeah.
We used to play.
They were bad years.
Yeah, I still remember that. I still remember the chickens, the wind blowing, and there was no grass on the yard.
Yeah.
And it would blow so hard that it would blow the feathers on the chickens. You know, as they go, the wind hit them from behind it, just
Golden feather, yeah.
blow the feathers off or blow them up in the air, you know. Look kind of like my bald head.
Everybody hears about the Depression years and also the drought and in the 30s. And of course my wife they lived in Dodge City, Kansas. They had the Dust Bowl out there. And a lot of people moved, like her parents moved to Canyon City. We had the dust, but it would come in from, it'd just get gray, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Just
you
get
could see
dark from dust. You think you're gonna get some rain, you get 3 or 4 days muddy drops. But we always managed to have food.
Yeah.
As kids, we had the hoe in the garden and we were just little. We was talking about the rows would just look like railroad tracks. They wasn't that long, but they just looked like they disappeared when you was But we were better off than a lot of people though.
Yeah.
My mother fed some of the neighbors. They'd come over and beg for a sandwich. You know, we always had something to eat.
That's good. We
We didn't have no money.
didn't have no garden.
We did a lot of other people. And I remember a few guys coming through, I don't know if you do, and they wanted to, some work, you know, just for a day or so, do something so they were coming from the east with the family to go to Oregon or California. And they would want to work. I remember where there was a couple of them, she fixed up, let them stay in the barn, and I don't remember that.
I don't quite remember that.
Yeah, and give them a little food in a sack and send them on. Remember that. A couple of times. It was bad.